the Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
We are live once again across the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media here on this Friday night. Very rare for us to be on live on a Friday, but we're going ahead and go with it because the night one of the WWE Draft ended about a half hour ago over on Fox with SmackDown. Joining me in the studio here, hello, Gabrielle. Good to see you in the chat room. Joining me in studio for this recap of SmackDown. They'll actually be carrying the recap of SmackDown as my signal gets worse and worse here in Arizona with the rain coming in, is the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams, and the Heat Man, James Hebert. Good to see both of you gentlemen as, God damn it. I did it too. I'm sorry, Jay. Go ahead. There we go. There he is.
If you want me to produce, let me produce.
Sorry. I can't help it. Yeah, we had all of a sudden just a massive, like, I'm sitting here watching just random stuff and hear this settle in, and then the rain. I'm like, oh goody, rain on top of force signal in the middle of nowhere. So awesome. So I'm going to hand it over to you gentlemen. Kind of a mixed reaction across social media and especially on YouTube for tonight's draft. So I'm curious what you guys think. I feel the draft picks were what they were, and I think that some people had higher expectations, but I will leave the formalized full opinions to the two of you, and I'll see you guys at the end of the show. If not, tomorrow night open mic night with Match Game. Be back shortly, guys.
Thank you very much, Boss Man. We appreciate that. So, yeah. First thing first, we're not going to be going over every nook and cranny of SmackDown. That's what For the Love of Wrestling is for. We're here tonight to just go over the draft picks and kind of give our thoughts about the moves that were made. And overall, I got to kind of agree with what's being said on social media. I feel like it was kind of uneventful in a lot of ways. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like drafting people that are already on the brand is kind of a useless thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
James?
It was. No, I get what you mean. Yeah, for me, it was so odd that they drafted people that were already on the show. Maybe the idea was that it's a free landscape and nobody's drafted yet, but they did not really make that explicitly clear enough. So there is that issue that obviously comes into that. I will say the big positive that I took away from the draft itself was at least the presentation was good.
Yeah.
I thought the presentation, because I've seen draft shows before in WWE, but this one felt way better and it felt legitimate, like a legit draft. So I'll give them props for that, because most times they just kind of
I completely agree with you there.
We'll obviously go over them as we go over them one by one, but you know. Uh-oh. Am I coming in choppy?
No. You're coming in fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. You just got to make
sure.
We're
not... no, it's a delay. It's a delay on my end. I'll be back.
Okay. So, yeah, to James's point a moment ago, as he tries to come back in, Triple H did state it's as much about protecting a roster as it is building a roster. So,
hello.
Let me produce.
No, that was me. That.
So,
I accidentally double-clicked.
Triple H did say is as much about protecting a roster as it is about building one. So to that aspect, they did kind of state that, you know, some people may be drafted to the brands that they're already on, but it just seems kind of silly to me. I feel like you should be out to try to add talent to your roster as opposed to keeping talent.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm not necessarily for the whole idea of, okay, well, you already had this guy on your brand, but here we go, drafting him again. Um, that was kind of I think the big issue that most people had. But put it this way, this is the way I see it. It's just to set the rosters for the year and hopefully for the next couple of years, because I don't think they should make the draft a yearly thing anyway. And quite honestly, I think, just kind of look at it from that perspective. It's not like the NFL. As much as they wanted to kind of be like the NFL, and obviously the presentation was definitely on point with that. At the end of the day, it's draft. It's just to set the scene for what's going to be the future. It has definitely been a far cry from what WWE television's been kind of producing the last few weeks. So it's definitely a far cry from that. But it's just a draft. Really, I think people want to see who's getting drafted, who's staying on the brand. I think that's the curiosity is. That's all it really comes down to. So, you also had Bubba Ray and Devon as well, and you had all these other legends show up. Theodore Long was like probably my fave, so that was fun. At the end of the day, that's what people are going to be tuning in for too, is just those surprise appearances and obviously the surprise draft picks or their favorites that they like on the brand to stay on the brand that they're on, if that's even a thing anymore. If there's even a brand warfare within the fan bases, which I feel like there hasn't been since like 2005, but that's really all it comes down to. I think, people read into it how they want to read into it. Lackluster, yes. Was it a bad show by any means? I don't think so. I've seen a lot worse. Put it that way. I've seen 10 times worse. So there you go.
I definitely don't think it was a bad show, but I do feel some of the picks were lackluster, as we stated. Let's go ahead and get into those. Number 1 draft pick was Bianca Belair staying on SmackDown, which I was really happy to see her be the number 1 overall draft pick. But I thought that she could have used the change of scenery going to Raw.
Was she always a SmackDown person? I thought she was a Raw person. That's how bad the draft was completely destroyed over the last 4 years. It really didn't mean anything. I thought she was a Raw girl, so I actually thought this was a new draft pick, but
she was Raw last year. She
wasn't.
was the Raw Women's Champion, got drafted to SmackDown last year. And so she's staying on Raw with this year's draft.
That's where the confusion lied. Okay. Carry on.
So then the number 2 draft pick overall was Mr. Yeet. Main event Jey Uso staying on Raw. Again, surprising choice for the number 1 draft pick for Raw.
Yeah. Well, he's wearing blue on red. The fuck?
It's been like that ever since him and Jimmy split up. Jimmy wears red and he's on SmackDown, and Jey wears blue and he's on Raw. It makes absolutely no sense.
I guess it does in a storyline perspective, but it doesn't. It's fucking with my color spectrum, damn it. Anyway.
For the people in the chat room, please don't get ahead of us. Let us bring up the people and then talk about them. So the number 3 draft pick overall, second one for SmackDown, was an NXT call-up, and we got Carmelo Hayes on the blue brand. Now, I was ecstatic for this one. I've known that Melo has been ready for a minute, pretty much ever since I started watching NXT 2.0. I said that Melo was ready, and for whatever reason, the higher powers didn't think he was ready at that time. But he sure as hell showed them with his title run and his matches against Breaker and Dragunov, and now the feud that he had with Trick. He's
Trick
proven that he's
Williams.
ready to be on that main spotlight.
Yeah, I think this is a great pick. It really, I'm shocked he actually ended up on SmackDown and not Raw. I'm not complaining, but I'm just kind of shocked at that. Maybe join up with the Pride. Be a hell of an addition to that faction. You know,
possibly.
You got to imagine too. Go ahead.
Possibly, I would rather see him as a solo. You know, not to sound arrogant, but I don't feel like every African American that gets called up to the SmackDown roster needs to join Bobby Lashley and his squad. Like, you know, I feel like we can have a little bit of separation
that's fair.
there.
That's fair.
And I'm not really surprised he went to SmackDown because you figure Pretty Deadly, Grayson Waller last year, all went to SmackDown, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Like a good chunk of the NXT call-ups last year came to SmackDown. Braun Breaker signed his deal with SmackDown.
The reason, yeah, I think the reason they did is because of what was it, like the roster was so thin before they called up a lot of the NXT names, and then it actually had some depth to it. So that might have been the reason why. So, yeah.
And then closing out the first round, going, or I should say, staying on Raw, was Seth freaking Rollins. Again, not a huge surprise here that they were going to keep him. You want some viable contenders for Damian Priest and his title. We still don't know what's going to happen with Drew McIntyre or CM Punk. They're part of Monday's draft. But I'm not really surprised to see Seth stay on Raw here.
Yeah, I'm not either. I will say Clash at the Castle could be very interesting because I feel like they're going to have the CM Punk Drew match at Backlash in France. They're going to have Rollins and Priest if Rollins is healed enough. I don't even know if he's, the rumors that were circulating, I don't even know if they're true or not. Although Becky did confirm it herself, so I don't even know if he's cleared to. But that world title scene is very interesting right now on Raw. So yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, that he went under surgery. So I assume that there's probably going to be a triple threat, or at the very least, whoever wins Drew and Punk is going to be the new number one contender against Priest for the world title. So that will be interesting. But good to see Seth stay on Raw because there's going to be a lot of history if I think they're going to keep the main stars on both shows the way they're set right now. But we shall see.
That's assuming that Drew doesn't take the title off of Priest at Clash at the Castle. And then you can go into the summer with the feud between Drew and Punk for the title.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is for true.
And then have Punk take the title off of Drew. And then when Seth comes back, you've got that feud to run back.
Yep. No, you know what? I could see it going either way, and that makes that title scene really interesting to watch because of all the names involved. So
exactly.
Good on WWE for doing that. But yeah. There you go.
We then started the second round, and the first pick of the second round, staying on SmackDown, was the Viper, the Apex Predator, the Legend Killer, Randy Orton.
No voices in my head.
Again, not really a huge surprise here.
Yep.
The only thing surprising is kind of how late he got picked. You would have expected him to get picked a little bit earlier, but for whatever reason, they held off on him a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always weird with these drafts because there's only so many people you could actually draft on TV. And if you watch the NFL draft, they obviously pick the big number one picks and all that. And, you know, they pick it from college football and all that stuff. You don't really get that. I mean, you kind of get that with NXT at the very least. That's kind of like their college football. But with SmackDown and Raw, it's very odd, as in they treat it like the NFL draft, but they don't treat it like the NFL draft, because if you're anybody as a general manager IRL, you're picking Randy Orton as the number one draft pick. I mean, you just
number
are,
2, maybe.
but
number 2,
yeah,
maybe,
exactly.
but
Number
like,
two draft pick. Three for Mr. Keith, Randall Keith Orton. I don't know about that, Chief.
well, the third pick for Raw was actually a switch, as Braun Breaker goes from SmackDown to Raw. This, I feel, is a huge coup
Well, that was
for
the
Raw.
shortest. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he had the shortest stay on SmackDown in history. I mean, damn. He was there for a cup of coffee, literally. Oh, there you go. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I was typing a private message if you look. But yeah,
Oh.
Braun is gonna do big things, I feel, on Raw. I would love to see him in a match against Sheamus. I'd love to see him in some matches against Gunther. I'd love to see him in some matches against Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre. Like, dude is a hefty, athletic dude. And if they want him to be a major player in the main event scene, they need to start putting him in matches against these guys like yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, I think I know why I'm getting lag. Apparently it's on my end, folks. But yeah, I agree with this, because Braun is definitely going to have, I feel like, a lot more to work with on the Raw brand. I mean, especially considering who the Intercontinental Champion is. There's a lot of people that he could work with on the mid card as they go on. So yeah, good for Braun Breaker, man. Meanwhile, I'm gonna try to refresh and see if I can get this lag to freaking disappear. Because I thought I didn't know whose it was, but now I know it was me.
Sounds good. While you do that, I'll answer Emmanuel's super chat. Got a $2 super chat from Emmanuel. What kind of draft picks did you expect tonight? I think what I expected more than anything, Emmanuel, was for SmackDown to really try to pull people from Raw, and Raw to really try to pull people from SmackDown. Like, I just feel like the draft, I understand wanting to keep one or two of your guys locked, but for there to only really be 4 changes throughout the entire draft, like, I wanted more. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted there to be more of a shakeup than there
I get you.
is.
I feel like it was very even of it being bland, and there was some kind of shakeups. But yeah, I don't know. It felt very lackluster in that department. I'm definitely in agreement with you, JJ. By the way, am I as laggy as I was before or no?
Well, you sound good on my end. The question is when do you hear me stop talking?
Literally, I just heard you stop talking. So yeah,
Okay,
we got
good.
it fixed. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So I can't
So,
use Femora. That's what that is. I was editing on Femora, so my bad.
all right. So we had Braun Breaker go from SmackDown to Raw, and we had Nia Jax go from Raw to SmackDown. I feel like this is going to be huge for the women's division over there.
Yep.
You know, Nia Jax has improved from by leaps and bounds from what everybody claimed she was when she came back.
Yep.
You know, she's had some fantastic matches, and I feel like throwing her in there where she can feud with Bailey, where she can feud with Bianca, where she can hopefully feud with Jade.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, I think that's going to be good. And then you got to figure at some point the Queen is going to come back for her throne and to run back a Charlotte Nia thing to try to determine contention to whoever's the champ at that point.
Yeah.
That would be some good stuff too.
Yeah. I think this is a huge for SmackDown as well because I think you could potentially have your first female member of the new bloodline. That could be a huge coup for them.
That's a solid shout there. I mean, we've been saying for a minute that we want Nia Jax to get added to the bloodline.
Yeah. I mean, if it were up to me, the only this is just me though. Like you would then try and find a way to make a women's tag team that's also Samoan. But the only two people that I feel like you could do a tag team somehow are Tamina and Ava, and Ava's the general manager of NXT. So, that's there goes that. So I don't know, but yeah. Pretty good.
Okay. So after Nia, we had staying on Raw to end out round 2, Liv Morgan. Anyways, moving on. I mean, okay. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Rhea. Champions were protected. She's no longer a champion. She could end up moving. We still need to do the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour. But what are we going to do with them at this point? You know, Liv is kind of in a holding pattern right now.
Mm-hmm.
She came back from an injury, injured the person legitimately that injured her kayfabe wise, and now she can't really progress her storyline until Rhea comes back.
Yep. So I heard an idea. I don't know if you want me to share it, but it was from the Wise Choices show by Eric Bischoff, and it was actually by Bubba Ray, who was on the show tonight. He was the guest on the show. He came up with a really good idea for Liv, and I think overall it's actually going to make the women's title scene very interesting because you know you kind of have your Becky Lynch, who's kind of like the John Cena of the women's division.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually a smart thing because what you could do with Liv in the meantime is infiltrate the Judgment Day and get close to Dirty Dom. And, you know, they're about to, you know, she's about to make him do the deed. I don't think Bully knows that Dominic's actually married IRL, but his idea was right before they kiss, you hear, "This is my brutality," and then she comes back, and then big schmoz deadheads fight, cat fight in the middle of the ring for Dom, and then Dom's trying to get them out, and then he's got a little Latino heat in him, because he's got to break up two very nice looking women fighting over his affection. So that's how you could do that. I mean, that would be an interesting thing then. And it's a good placeholder if you're not going to give her the title right away.
Right.
That would be what I'd do, but that's just me, going over what one of the greatest of all time said. So don't blame me. Don't mind me.
I will not.
Can't claim credit for this one this time.
All right, give me 1 second here.
Yeah.
Apologize for the delay here, folks. All right, so kicking off the third round was the megastar himself, staying on SmackDown, Mr. L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
Not a huge surprise here yet again. I mean, I feel like maybe they're going to keep him there to feud with Logan, Waller, and Theory for right now, because clearly he's not going to the main event picture just yet, even though we all know he's ready. And, how much longer can he waste away in mid-card hell?
Right.
But just for whatever reason, they want to keep him here right now. And I just feel like with the Cody story and with Orton, with the bloodline, all that stuff going on, LA Knight's going to have a few minutes before he gets there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really odd why they just had him stay, but at the same time it's like he's kind of the face of the brand. So I feel like they kind of did like it, they were trying to make it look like it was a shoot, but I don't know if it was, because keep in mind there was also the war room, so
Right.
I don't know. But I'm happy about it because I think he's going to thrive more on SmackDown anyway. I feel like I'll be real with you. Even though we call it mid-card hell, I really do feel like Logan Paul versus LA Knight is inevitable, and I feel like he's the one that's going to take the U.S. title off of Logan. I really do.
It's possible there, but I think I'd rather see him on Raw, because Raw's kind of like where the main eventers are. That's where the big time guys are. You could end up with LA Knight versus Seth when he comes back, LA Knight versus Punk, LA Knight versus Drew. You could put him in an IC feud with Sammy, LA Knight versus Gunther. I just feel like there's a lot more potential and people that he hasn't had 500 matches with yet if you move him to Raw, as opposed to keeping him swimming with the same fish on SmackDown.
Right. No, I can see where you're coming from on that, but I feel like
Miz is a baby face now. Why not put LA Knight and the Miz together? Because Awesome Truth is only going to last for so long.
That's true.
I love them together, but it's only going to last for so long. And then you could have Miz and LA Knight, kind of the babyface version of Theory and Waller.
Yeah, and then you could definitely do a Survivor Series brand warfare match, like not this year, but a year later. Yeah, I could see that. I feel like the reason they wouldn't. I feel like the reason they wouldn't do it is because they see LA Knight as a single star, and even if they can't necessarily have him win the WWE and or World Heavyweight Championship, because let's be honest, that main event scene on both shows is a bit tied up right now. I think he has a better chance on actually competing for Cody's title than he does for Damian's title. And I damn sure think he's the one that's going to take the belt off of Logan Paul after they give him a lengthy reign with it. And quite honestly, as we have seen with this new version of WWE now over the last year and a half, they love them showing long title reigns. So,
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because while I'm glad they're starting to do lengthy title reigns, much like I feel about the competition in AEW, not every title reign needs to be a long one. I'm not saying I want to go back to the days where the titles change in hands, every month, but 2-3 month reign, move it on. You run for a quarter of the year, maybe a third of the year, give them a 4-month reign.
right.
But this whole 300 plus day reign stuff, like, we don't need that with every championship.
No, probably not, but I feel like they're definitely going to do it with Logan. I mean, I think he's already close to how many days is he on now since he won the title in Saudi Arabia?
Let me see here. I'll look it up. Go ahead and keep talking.
Well, because I feel like it's getting close to a year. So by the time the next Saudi show happens, hell, I could see him win the
Maybe.
title there. I could see him win the title there.
According to this, he's 174 plus. Got the belt November 4th, 2023 at Crown Jewel.
Yeah, I think he's gonna lose at some point. I feel like either around the 175 day mark, which I think would be right around the time of the King and Queen of the Ring. I could definitely see that happening. If not there, then definitely SummerSlam. I feel like that's when LA Knight's going to have his shining moment against Logan. That's when I think he's going to have his big breakout moment. I don't think the U.S. title has the lengthiest of reigns, even in this new iteration of the championships. I think they, obviously you have the Universal title, which lasts a ridiculous amount of time. You had the World Heavyweight title, which lasted probably like third or fourth longest. So, if anything, you had like U.S. title on main roster probably at like the bottom of the barrel, minus the tag team championships, obviously, that was kind of the hot potato to a degree ever since the Usos lost it. So, yeah, I feel like that's what they're going to do. I'm excited for LA Knight to get a solo run no matter what brand he's on, so I just want to see that.
That's fair. All right, we did get a super chat from Emmanuel. Are we doing the off-air draft picks?
I was actually trying to look up where I could find those, believe it or not.
I've got them.
Okay,
I've got them. I saw what Dattila put in the chat room, and I started trying to get the information, and then I found some images. So
that is fair. That is fair.
They will look slightly different from what we're presenting here right now because we did these ourselves. But I found the graphics that they put onto Twitter.
Right.
So I will do those. All right. So after LA Knight was drafted, staying on Raw is Ricochet. This kind of surprised me. Not that he stayed on Raw per se, but that he was drafted like on the TV. Like, I felt there were people that didn't get drafted on air that got drafted in the supplemental that we'll talk about after that deserved to be drafted over Ricochet. No offense to the guy.
Yeah, this felt this felt like a supplemental pick all day long. And I love Ricochet, but like, what are we doing? What's with this pick?
It's like, I'm not trying to be mean or nasty, but I feel like the only reason he got picked on TV is because his woman is Samantha Irvin.
Yeah, that way they could at least be in the same locker room and have, makeout sessions in the back or whatever. Whatever it is that couples do.
But just the fact that she's so popular, that's why he got picked on TV because like
Right,
everybody
yeah.
knows they're together.
Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't really. Was he on? He was on Raw, right?
Yeah,
Or was
he's
he?
been on Raw because he's been with her. Triple H has got to. He did this last year, and I have a feeling he's going to keep it up this year. He's got a habit of keeping couples on the same brands.
Yeah.
Because being on the road is hard enough, so at least keep them on the same brand so they can travel together, have the same off days together. I think that's Triple H's mentality.
It's not a bad mentality to have for the workers, at least. Yeah. To me, it is what it is. I'm fine with it because, I mean, if they give him something, I mean, at this point, just give him the fucking Speed Championship, right?
I'm feeling he's probably going to get it. So
he should. He should. Who else is the speediest person on the roster? It's Ricochet. Ricochet is like above and beyond probably one of the faster people on the roster. So I feel like he's definitely the number one guy to get that. Maybe make it kind of a Raw thing. And, you know, obviously you have your little Wednesday night show on X, which is such a weird show, by the way. I don't know. Has anybody seen Speed? I've not seen Speed.
I have not, no.
Yeah. He's probably going to win that belt, though. And you know what? Good for him. Because Ricochet, he cool. But I wish he would get better gold. So.
Give me 1 second here.
Yeah, you're
Trying
fine.
to load these other images here.
Ah.
Just so that way I'm ready when it gets to be time.
All
right. So after Ricochet,
yep.
staying on SmackDown is the current configuration of the Bloodline.
Yep.
Tama Tonga, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman did make an announcement at the start of the show that Roman Reigns was withdrawing himself from the draft. So when the Bloodline got drafted, Roman was not being drafted with the Bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens with Roman and how that plays into things. Maybe he'll be a free agent. Maybe he'll end up going to Raw. Maybe he'll end up coming back to SmackDown.
I'm interested. If anybody should be your free agent guy that you want to try and sign later on and give some mystique and intrigue to, it's definitely Roman.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he's earned that at this point with the reign that he had and the way he carried the company for the last whatever it was, amount of days that he was champion and carried him through the pandemic and everything. Like, I feel like Roman earned that. Despite what people will say about how little he defended the titles.
Right.
So, staying on Raw, the Celtic burger, Sheamus.
Oh, no. It's become the thing now.
I'm sorry. That was too funny. Burger after burger after burger. And as a fat man, I can make the joke, damn it.
I can make the joke as well. Poor guy, though. Like, what was hilarious is that people got so butthurt that people said that, but like Sheamus literally on Twitter and like took it in stride, and everybody was still like, "It's okay. It's not right that they're fat shaming." It's like they're not fat shaming. They're pointing out a joke. People lighten up. If anybody can lighten up, it's fucking Irish dude. Like, come on.
Let me talk to you, fella.
Let me talk. Oh, man.
I'd like a Big Mac combo. Make it supersized, fella. And give me a Diet Coke.
Oh, dude, you know what? Like, I feel like he's the dude that I saw at a Wendy's. The true story, right? There was this guy who was at a Wendy's waiting for just an ice cream, just a Frosty. Me and my Uncle Gary see this happen, right? And now I think of Sheamus anytime I think of this story now, ever since the burger comment, because he just, the Irish dude that was in the place just looks at the lady and she's like, "Can I help you?" Right? And then the Irishman's like, "Can you help me? Can you help me? Lady, I just want me fucking ice cream." Like, it was the biggest culture clash. It's like if Jade Cargill and Sheamus were in that scenario.
Damn.
Yeah, seriously. It was a fucking culture clash, bro. And it was the funniest shit. Me and Gary, you could have paid us, like, you might as well have given us like fries from their fry later and just started chowing them down as like replacement for popcorn, because we were just watching the scene unfold in front of our eyes.
Emmanuel, I never said he was fat. I'm just saying I can make the joke because I am.
Yeah, he's not even that fat.
No,
he looks like what he did when he first showed up in, what was it, 2009 on Raw?
Something like that.
Yeah. He's not fat at all.
All right, and then we kicked off the last round of the TV draft with none other than the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. Again, not a huge surprise here. He's challenging Cody Rhodes. So you're not going to draft him, because then if he wins the title, he's taking the title to Raw. So unless you're drafting Damian Priest in the Judgment Day to SmackDown,
which are not,
then you've got the whole two champions on one brand again, and then what do you do?
Yeah.
This way, at least there's that little aura of believability that AJ could beat Cody.
Yeah.
Especially if he did bang his shoulder up badly enough. So, I mean, I don't want Cody to lose the title a month after winning it and finishing the story.
Yeah.
But if he did bang himself up that badly that he has to dump it, AJ's a pretty good plan B.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
I
after
agree.
seeing Cody wrestle with that torn pec in Hell in a Cell, he'll still go out there and put on a classic with AJ to drop the title.
I hope he didn't actually hurt himself. The only thing that makes me wonder if he actually did is the dude held the title pretty fine up in the air, like when he was on the turnbuckles. So that was a good sign. It might have just been he was really good at selling, and he, got me fucking worried. And Cody, look at me. Stop doing that. Stop it.
Just right.
Stop it. You just won the belt. I don't need the anxiety. Yeah, I really would. I don't think he did. And the only reason I went back on it is because he lifted his. Because when Finn Balor legitimately injured his shoulder too, when he got the belt from Seth Rollins, this is back in like 2016, couldn't lift his other shoulder. And he had the belt in his hand and he was just like pointing and he couldn't lift up his entire shoulder. So that's how that was a legit injury. When Cody, looked like he injured his shoulder, then he just lifted the title up after a little bit and then it was fine. So I think he was just selling, but yeah. It was scary for a minute.
No, I totally agree with you there. So after Cody staying on Raw is the Alpha Academy in full. Maxine Dupree, Akira Tozawa, Otis, and Chad Gable, the freshly heel Chad Gable. Gonna be interesting to see what they do with this. I don't know if the entire Alpha Academy is gonna turn heel with him. I don't think I could buy Tozawa as a heel. I couldn't buy Maxine in this run that she's been on as a heel. The only one I could buy would be Otis.
there's a
Because
couple.
for
Yeah,
Maxine to turn heel right now would just make absolutely no sense with the angle she's been running with Candice LeRae.
I think that whole thing as well is not able to be done because Otis is too lovable. I here's what I will say that I think might be happening, but this is just fantasy booking James here. Shock. There is rumors that Jason Jordan is cleared, his old American Alpha partner,
Mm-hmm.
and there is also a Braun Breaker that just got freshly drafted to Raw.
There's also the Creed still lingering around.
Mm-hmm. So he might have the Creeds turn heel on them and then have Jordan and Braun join, and then he creates the American Alpha Academy. AAA, if you will.
Interesting.
And then you can have Otis bring back another alumni partner. Just an idea. Tucker, Heavy Machinery. I don't know if you know who he is, JJ, but the black and goldites of NXT do.
I've heard of Tucker, but I don't know him. I'm not familiar with him.
That's fair. That's fair. You could have Otis, Tucker, and not that they'd ever do this, but get Bull Dempsey back too. Bring him into Heavy Machinery. Call him
Who?
Bullfit.
Who?
Another guy from the Black and Gold era of NXT. He's a very obscure guy from the Black and Gold era of NXT. But he was kind of Heavy Machinery before Heavy Machinery, put it that way. But that was just, it was supposed to be a joke for the crowd, the chat here. They know what I'm talking about. You guys remember Bull Dempsey, right? You guys remember Bull Fit, right? Anyway, there you go.
All right. So the next draft pick coming over to SmackDown from Raw, Andrade El Idolo.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely agree with what Aaron said on his thing. I think this is to keep the LWO Legado del Fantasma thing going, especially since they showed the video footage that Carlito attacked Dragon Lee. Perhaps Andrade can get slotted into his spot in the LWO.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely the way they're going. I feel like Carlito is going to join Legado del Fantasma, and it's going to be leading to a 4-on-4 match of some sort for a pay-per-view. Carlito on the side of Legado and Andrade on the side of the LWO. And yeah, exactly. Put Selena back with Andrade. It's desperately needed. God damn, is it needed?
And then when Charlotte comes back,
mm-hmm.
she sees Charlotte. She sees Zelina with Andrade. She could run some jealousy angle with Zelina.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we all know Charlotte is better as a heel, anyways.
Dude, Charlotte and Selena would be a banger too. That's a match they have not even tapped into, and I would love to see that. Not gonna lie, that would be a hell of a matchup.
All right, and the last one that we saw on TV was another NXT call-up. I am so happy for this one. Kiana James drafted to Raw. I am telling you right now, this woman is going to have as much of an impact if they book her right as Tiffany Stratton has had on SmackDown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think that she is going to do big things. You know, you figure they can run her versus Chelsea. They can run her versus Indy. They can run her versus Candice. There's 3 great feuds right there for her. And even though she is more of a heel than she is a babyface, that speech that she cut in the Performance Center after she got drafted was definitely not Kiana James, the character. That was the woman behind the character. And they can leverage that to start her as a babyface run on the roster.
Who, the person, was that her old tag team partner?
What do you mean?
I'm sorry. I blanked out for a second. I don't know why. That's the thing that confuses me. While I'm happy for Kiana James, don't get me wrong. Wasn't she teaming with Izzy Dime?
Yeah,
Why didn't they? Why is it just her
because
and
it
not
was more of
Izzy?
an apprenticeship than it was a tag team.
And okay, that's fair. Well, there you go. And now we got a businesswoman. You know, the modern day $1 million woman. Not even man, but woman. There you go. It'll be fun. Hey, maybe she could get Cameron Grimes back and push him to the moon.
Not likely.
Yeah, probably not.
Love the
So
the
sad.
thought process there, but not likely.
He got released, and I was so sad. I was so sad.
Yeah.
Oh.
I agree with what Matthew says here. This was one of the biggest surprises.
Yeah.
I don't know if Roxanne is going to get drafted because she's a champion, and they said champions are protected.
Yeah.
Blair Davenport is definitely a possibility, but we'll have to see what happens on Raw's draft.
Yeah, it is odd that I will say I tuned into a few things on NXT. Obviously, I'm not watching weekly still, but I did see like clips. I don't see Blair Davenport hardly ever, but maybe she has been. Maybe I'm just not paying attention enough. But I feel like she needs to be utilized a lot more than she's been utilized. But then again, that roster down there for the women is stacked. So there is that. So
I had this conversation with Noah the other night when we were doing the spring break and watch along. I compared Blair Davenport to being a younger version of Maiko Satomura. I feel like at this point she's just there to make sure that these girls are ready for the big time.
Which is so weird because why sign her then?
Because she's a great person to help develop these girls because she's world traveled.
I get that then, but at the same time, and this is where I'm so confused by it. You have so many titles, right? And I feel like as great of a trainer she is, I'm not saying you don't use her as a trainer. She's absolutely good for that. Have her as a trainer. But she's too good to just be a trainer. She really is.
And that's why they bring her out there to really start feuding with these girls when it's like test time. You think about it, all the girls she's feuded with have been like, is this person ready to move up to that main event level?
Yeah.
She's become like the final boss because love her, but Maiko Satomura is getting way too old to be trotting her ass out there a couple of times a year to put these bitches to the test.
Yeah.
Blair is still young,
yeah,
and she's got all that experience.
Hey, I'm just saying.
And it's very possible they could reward her with a draft for all the work that she's done down there because she's almost too experienced to be the developmental champion. You know, she's worthy of feuding with these girls on the main roster.
Yeah, she really is, but I also think she's worthy of some sort of championship run. That's where I think the NXT North American Championship comes in. So I hope she wins that. Just saying.
Hey, maybe we could get a finals of Blair Davenport versus Julia.
Ooh. Yeah.
Or Blair wins it and Julia's the first feud.
Yeah. Yeah, if that's the finals,
they're saying that they're saying Julia is probably going to debut at Battleground.
Yeah, and if you don't know how great Julia is, you will be in for a treat. Trust me, believe you me.
All right, we did get a comment from the boss man here. Just got my connection back. Did y'all discuss the picks announced on Twix?
No, we have not.
No, not yet, but we're about to transition to those, bro.
Perfect timing.
Yes. So the first draft pick that was announced on Twix staying on SmackDown is the OC. Gallows, Anderson, and Mia Yim. I cannot bring myself to call her Meechin.
Nope.
Just no.
Yeah, but funny story about that. I changed her name back to Mia Yim on Journey of Wrestling, which is like a simulation booking game, because I can't call her Meechin. So you're not alone.
So the entire OC still on SmackDown. So we can either get the whole OC to turn heel and realign with AJ, or if AJ ever comes back babyface, we can get him to realign with the OC. But looking at these three and the render that they used, they look very heelish.
Yes.
I would be perfectly content with all of them turning heel, especially if, again, God forbid, Cody has to dump the title after a month. You have them turn heel to help AJ cheat to win.
I hope that.
And then you kind of protect Cody because he went out to essentially another gain, another bloodline.
Yeah, that's true.
The boss man is here.
You can't call him a Meechin because it sounds too close to my name and it makes us all confoozle.
Yes, that is true. That is absolutely true.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, the Kings are on intermission, and they're losing 3-0. So I'm going to come in here and try to vent a little bit better.
As long as we keep things rolling here, we're already almost an hour into the show.
Yeah, no worries. I'll keep things commenting to a minimum. I didn't get to see all the drafts on Twix. So I want to go over with you guys. So.
No worries, because that was the first one. So then the next one they announced on Twix, they announced Shayna Baszler.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, they announced Zoe Stark, both of them as separate picks, both staying on Raw.
Okay.
Tag teams are supposed to be able to be drafted together. So why did they draft these two individually?
Well, as I pointed out to James when he commented on it in our private chat, they are using Shayna right now in the program with Natty on NXT. So maybe they're going to keep them separate after all.
Doubtful. I think that's just for this one pop. I think they were just trying to, make the spring break and feel like a legitimate pay-per-view. And with the whole Trick Mello thing, they wanted to have as many NXT alumni as possible down there for the big moment.
That's true.
Just a little slight carryover to the next week. I would almost be willing to bet you that Shayna and the AOP Final Testament whole stable is probably all we're going to get next week as far as main roster down there. So,
yeah.
Once again, to the chat room, please try to keep the conversation on the pictures that are on the screen. If you want us to talk about somebody else, super chat. Simple as that.
We know the banner is not there, but you guys know by now, especially the people commenting. We know you know.
Well, I do see a new name in the chat that may not know, but other than that, yeah.
Yeah, we don't know if he has any relation to Martin Kirby either. Shouts out WCPW. It's fun.
But Shayna and Zoe, not really surprised that they stayed on the same brand because they have been a formidable team.
Yeah.
And we need some formidable teams for what will more than likely be our new WWE Women's Tag Champions come May the 4th. I think the people in France will hear me from Victorville if that goes the way I'm hoping it goes.
Right. Yeah, I will say this really quick before you go on to the next pick. If the WrestleMania rumors are true, that means WrestleMania Sunday will be on May 4th. Damn, that's going to be a busy weekend.
Right.
My God.
For next year, folks. Next year.
Overload.
All right. Then the second round that was posted on socials.
Yes.
This one, I'm not really sure if they're being moved from Raw to SmackDown or if they're staying on SmackDown, because I can't tell you, aside from Cedric getting squashed by Braun tonight, when the last time either of these two motherfuckers was on television.
It was Cedric getting squashed by Braun on SmackDown.
Like I said, aside from
Yeah.
Cedric getting squashed by Braun on SmackDown tonight, I couldn't tell you when either of these guys were on TV last.
No, I'm saying Cedric was on SmackDown. It was either Cedric or somebody else for one of Braun's matches on SmackDown prior to the draft tonight. He got squashed by Braun before, so it's like
it then. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Cedric's been freaking jobber status, and it's just stupid. Like I could have sworn I thought Ashante got released. I really do. So there you go.
Well, to be fair, they have had some pretty decent matches from what I've seen, so they're a good tag team. But they haven't really used them much. But if they're going to actually put them on SmackDown, and I know they're supplemental draft picks, but at the end of the day, they were one of the few people that were announced early in the supplemental draft. I would try and get MVP back and have them manage these guys and maybe bring back Omos to kind of be their heavy. Because then you can have a little feud between the Pride and them. Because there's history between MVP and Lashley and all that whole
I personally, if they're not going to do anything substantial with either one of these guys, particularly Cedric, have them be part of the package they deliver on that WWE speed show, whatever the hell it's called on Twix, and just turn them loose for 3 minutes and just let them do their spot nonsense. I mean, if you're going to keep the guy under contract, not let him go anywhere, do something at least, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So after them announced on Twitter, the witchy women are coming to the Red brand.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. I would love. Can I just get these two versus Candice and Indy and just let these two beat the piss out of the Poison Pixie? Can I make that happen for Monday night, please?
Isla Dawn on Netflix. I'm here for this. Every bit of it.
I agree.
Right? I
just
love me some Isla Dawn. Alba Fire is great too. Don't get me wrong. But Isla Dawn is a completely different breed.
Dude, yeah. Isla Dawn's one of the few people that actually make Nick Aldis's eyes wander away from his already hot wife. So I'm just throwing that out there. So
wait, really?
I don't care. He's blocking already. What do I give a shit?
Is that a legit thing?
No. So these two were on SmackDown not too long ago. And I agree with Matthew, by the way. They were on SmackDown not too long ago. And there's a screen capture of Nick's eyes just staring down at Isla and her Dawns.
And her Dawns.
Yeah, oof, that's rough.
Friggin' careful when you say Isla and her Dawns because Tony D'Angelo might be listening. I'm walking in.
Am I being too loud or?
No, she just thought you were doing it with the broadcast thing or something, and she didn't want him to.
No, I am, but he's fine.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Came out of the house. We got But I let her die. You know what? The hell with Tony. I don't give a shit because I had that comment loaded for a month and a half now. Damn it.
That's fair.
So,
Tony,
but
I'm just saying, I might be mad. You might be sleeping with the fishes, bro.
Hey, you know what? As long as the casket's lined with her underwear, I don't give a shit. Whatever.
God damn.
I don't care.
Thank God Noah's not here for this one.
That's right. Yeah. Noah, you stay CPC. Be a good boy. That's it.
I would just say. I would just have him say. I know what he would say though. You weak-minded simpleton. That's what he would say.
Pretty much.
There is that.
Hey.
We did get another. I won't say an NXT call up, but an NXT call back. Baron Corbin has been moved to SmackDown.
That's not good.
I was going to say, I'm not a huge fan of this move. I think that Baron Corbin has been doing his best work in NXT, using him to help get these guys over. If you weren't going to put him on Raw, which is where you just drafted Braun to, so that you could have the Wolf Dogs on the main roster and then have the inevitable split and just let them feud like crazy, then why did you draft him? He's going to be back in catering in 3 to 6 months.
Yep.
Yep.
He's going to suffer Cameron Grimes syndrome. They're going to call him up and they ain't going to do shit with him because they haven't figured out what to do with him. But he's been doing some great shit over in NXT on Tuesday nights.
He won the Dre in 2016, right?
Yep.
Okay. They haven't done shit with him on main roster in 6 years. No, 8 years. Excuse me, 8 years. Jeff can't count by the show. Great show on store.
7 years if you count his U.S. title win. But yeah.
Well,
Like
when
I
did
said,
he
8
win
years.
King of the Ring?
Like I said, 8 years.
Yeah,
Because
I'm asking a goddamn question. When did he win King of the Ring?
it was after his call up. So he was king during his main roster time. But what did they do with it? Is my point. You know, he was king and it was entertaining and it was fun, but it went absolutely nowhere. And then they put him in I think the constable role came after that. It's like, okay, he went from royalty to running the show to bum ass Corbin, which was his most fun he's had since on the main roster. We were all loving it at that point. And then he got the money and went right back up to where the hell is he status. It's just unfortunate that they're not, like you said, they're moving it back to the main roster. What have they shown in the past 8 years with him on the main roster that they're going to go with him? He's got such a unique dynamic to him, but they've shown, even Triple H has shown he's not going to be allowed to grow outside of that NXT bubble. He did great when he came back to NXT, and now he's going back up. But again, I'm jumping to conclusions. To be fair, it's literally been an hour, so we'll see what happens come May 6th when they lock the rosters.
I have a way you could use him in a very prominent role for a change. If you're going to draft him on SmackDown, there's one place you could put him that would actually give him a shot at one of the prestigious titles on SmackDown. Because let's be honest, U.S. title is actually gaining some traction with Logan as the champion. Whether you want to admit it or not is your own conclusion.
No, it is. No, you're absolutely right.
Pair him up with the OC. Have him be the kind of like the other guy, I guess the third bald guy in the OC. But you know what I mean, though. If you put him there, you can have him go for the U.S. title. And I just recommended to JJ that LA Knight should go for it against Logan. And then maybe he can run a program between LA Knight and Baron Corbin in the future.
I see what James is doing, JJ. I know what he's doing. He's going to dub over his voice saying, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Baron Corbin, dub all these, get in there. He's going to dub over the opening of his own self. See?
Yes.
See?
Yes. You know what? Now I want this, damn it. Book it. Book it, Hunter. Book the Baldies. Book the Baldies to dominate. You know what? Have AJ go bald too. Do it.
That's right.
Go full,
James is like, okay. Okay. James is like, dub over opening, exorcise one part of opening that Jeff already had, and we're good. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I got to do it for open mic night, though. Otherwise, it don't count.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. Anyway. Yes, sir. All right, Jay. Who's next? I'm sorry.
So the answer to my question was he won King of the Ring in 2019.
Yes.
Yes, I couldn't look it up because I'm on my phone. That's why I couldn't look it up. But yeah. Yeah, and figure the bum ass Corbin thing ended right after SummerSlam 2021.
Yeah.
So he went from King Corbin to losing the crown and really going into that bum ass spiral downward, which I thought was funny.
That was
to getting, to winning the money in Vegas where we were all at for SummerSlam 2021. And then it's like he continually felt like a fish flopping on the pier, waiting for somebody to catch him and do something with him. It's very frustrating.
And the last draft pick announced on social, staying on Raw as a solo act because Valhalla's pregnant and Eric is still out with injury, Ivar.
He's been doing great. I saw some of the matches he's had lately. Good for Ivar, man. He's really showing out.
I agree. I like some of the stuff he's done. He's another one because he's fighting Obafemi on night 2 of Spring Break in this coming Tuesday. So that should be a freaking clash right there.
Yeah, that's just that classic big meaty men slapping meat thing right there. But it's NXT, so it's going to be more interesting.
Right.
So if they released Veer, does that mean they're going to give Eric the Eric is coming gimmick since Valhalla's pregnant again?
Oh no.
Just curious. Just wondering.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna do that, then they need to have the Viking equivalent. Get Big Damo.
Oh no!
He'll be the gender of the group.
Dude, Noah's gonna watch this back and go, "This is what happens when I let the kids play without supervision." This is like what Noah's gonna say tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's for true.
But thank you all for watching out there, all y'all. We appreciate you putting up with our dumb fuckery. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, our dumb fuckery.
Oh my god, dude! Me and the redheads tonight have not been PC friendly at all. Anyway,
do I count as a redhead because I wear a red hat?
Sure.
That's
go
good.
ahead.
That's good for you, Safet, because I never believe anything Meltzer says.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude, this is the year of his credibility just out of the sky. I'm telling you, man.
Of rightfully I'm on the Jay Hebert side, and I don't take it back, and I'm not sorry.
It's going to be a glorious day when that dipshit finally retires.
Yep. Yeah, you have Alvarez join him too, considering he's sucking that little teat or whatever's left of it.
Yes. But yeah, what I got to see of the drafts as it was going along was, again, I was kind of cracking on Aaron for being so cynical, but it's hard not to be when it really didn't affect anything long term. I like the presentation of it, as he said, because it felt like a sports draft, and considering the wrestling community was cracking on the NFL draft for all the wrong reasons yesterday. It's kind of funny that WWE presents a similar style draft, and they're having similar, not struggles with presentation, just struggles with the moving and shaking, because there was no real shakeup. Like, they had 2 NXT call-ups announced on television. Like, okay, and Mello getting a permanent, like, this is his spot, dude. I'm here for that, right?
Yeah.
And as you guys said, Kiana was a surprise, but I'm here for that too. JJ and I have both been pretty high on Kiana for a minute. So
yeah, I wasn't really that surprised about her though. That's the thing, is like, she, ever since she started taking Izzy Dame under her wing, she's kind of scaled back a little bit in how much she's been used. And I kind of thought something was up because she was always very prominently featured. So either I thought she was injured and just working through it, or they were trying to save her for the draft.
Yes.
And lo and behold, she got drafted. So it didn't really surprise me. They made the thing in the statement about champions are protected. Does that include NXT champions? They never made that clear.
That's fair, because in the graphic that I saved, I meant to put in the thing over here, they only showed the Raw and SmackDown champions as protected.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But they made sure, but then they didn't want to throw like all the NXT in there too, because that takes away from the suspense. But if all champions are protected, Trick ain't going nowhere. Obafemi's not going nowhere. Roxy's not going anywhere. God, who are the tag champs right now?
Isn't that awful?
Oh, Axiom and Nathan Frazier.
Oh yeah. That's right.
They're not going anywhere right now.
Yeah. But also, if they included those names, it'd be a busy graphic, and only I can have the busiest graphics in wrestling.
Yes, it hurts my eyes every time you release one.
It's fun for me because I have nothing to do, especially where I'm in the middle of right now.
Yeah, I felt that.
Oh, yeah.
I felt that when I was babysitting my cat. I had nothing going on.
$2
Ding, ding, ding.
per chat from Emmanuel. No stakes in this draft since members aren't splitting.
There was a couple splits, but yeah.
Well,
But not really.
well, yeah,
Even
well,
though
yeah.
they drafted Shayna and Zoe separately, they're still staying together.
Yeah, and they made it clear that the factions that are in place, based on the information we were sent, they're not splitting. However, there may not be stakes. Oh, good.
I was going to say, which shocked me to a certain extent because Bianca, Jade, and Naomi have been a thing for these last few weeks. Bianca got drafted separately.
Yeah,
The big
sure.
three didn't get drafted as a unit.
Yeah,
Bianca and Jade didn't get drafted as a unit, and you figure they're supposed to have a tag title shot coming up next weekend in France.
Yes.
So if Jade gets moved to Raw and Bianca's still on SmackDown, I mean, granted, the champions can bounce brand for that title, but
Right.
Still.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, we'll see come Monday. I would think, and again, people were, I forget. Oh, it was during the other stream. Why would they have so and so on Raw? It's like, oh, why would the Bloodline be on SmackDown? Because they're going to USA and they need to pad that show because it was considered not cool enough to keep on Fox.
Yeah,
and Fox is going to look stupid if the Bloodline, stays on SmackDown and on USA, and they keep doing the numbers they've been doing. Granted, they're not going to do the numbers they were because Roman's not there, and they're still trying to establish Solo and Tama. Good Lord Almighty!
Is that
freaking Regal calling me Manga?
It was like when he called Ryu back in No DQ. I know he got that one. That was for Jeff. Oh,
James totally talked over you, JJ. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Sorry. Go ahead, JJ.
I said Michael Cole saying Isla Dawn.
Oh God, I know. It's like, yeah. How often did we crack on Michael Cole for that? And Aaron's making the same mistake. It's like, oh no, dude, no, come on. But yeah, they're trying to establish still Solo and Tama as this incarnation of the Bloodline, with Paul seemingly not knowing a whole lot. I did see snippets. I didn't see the whole thing. Did Paul Heyman, did he announce that Roman Reigns had voluntarily pulled out of the draft?
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting to me because if the Bloodline was able to be drafted together, but then Roman's now out, does that mean Roman doesn't care? Does that mean, we might see the Bloodline go to Raw? I'd be curious because I personally want to see, I'd rather have Paul Heyman with the Netflix lack of handcuffs, if I'm being honest. If he's still around by January, I want Paul with no 7-second button just for a few months.
That would be awesome, but the Bloodline are staying on SmackDown in their current incarnation. So,
oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I have idea. I don't know if I'm coming in through. I think I might be coming in choppy, but I have idea. This is what you could do. You could bring Paul Heyman to Raw all of a sudden, right? And then have Louis dangerously take his place.
I don't even know if Lou still looks like Paul anymore.
Yeah, right. That's fair.
I need to Google that to see if Lou still looks like even Heyman now.
That would be funny.
That's too funny. Yeah, I'm definitely curious how this next week is going to play out. We got Raw Monday with the draft. We've got Backlash in France. We've got, there's still not everything has shaken out yet from WrestleMania. So I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, May 4th is going to be a long day. Could be a longer day next year. But it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out. And like was stated multiple times across socials and on here, Raw is 3 hours. There's more picks on Raw. So we're going to get a better idea of what's going to be the layout come, again, May 6th. I find it ironic that May 6th in history was the get the F out day, and now we're having the draft, then the brands being solidified on the same day in history, almost over 20 years later, 22 actually, 22 years later to the day.
You know what's funny too? Little fun fact: if you notice on the WWE Draft logo, the font is the same from the original WWF Draft from 2002.
Is that right?
Yeah, fun fact for you. I could tell immediately when I first saw it. I'm like, holy shit, they're using the old font from the original draft.
You know, maybe their mindset is they're trying to be serious about this, because at least at start and in theory, they were really trying to make the brands seem separate. You have to remember, 2002 WWE was on a roller coaster ride one way. They lost Austin after WrestleMania, and then seemingly for good in June. They had owners of different brands that had to come together because they were so panicked about the loss of Steve Austin. Rock was in and out, came back in June, was gone in August. They were going with this young kid as the new champion who they weren't sure about. So they created another world championship. It was such a, up and down year, even though it did, produce a lot of good content, started the Ruthless Aggression era, for lack of a better, start point. But I really think that was the start of a new era for the company. And we've had that word era shoved through our face the last month. So maybe this is an indication that they're being dead ass serious about this is a new WWE. We've got, Triple H, we've got Paul Levesque running the creative ship. We've got Vince putting up his stock for sale. We've got Nick Khan putting up his stock for sale. It really seems like trying to shift focus 100%.
Gonna be interesting for sure.
I look forward to being part of the teams that cover it, because that's what gets the revenue generating, JJ.
Yep. All right. Well, after almost an hour and a half, that's about it for the draft coverage for tonight. Of course, we'll be back on Monday to discuss the recap of night 2 of the draft.
Yes.
2:30 p.m. Pacific, 11:30 p.m. Eastern. And then I'll just start clicking off on these graphics you've got loaded in here, Jeff, and you and I can talk about them.
Sounds good. So yeah, I actually did talk to, for the record, I did talk to Jenna about possibly being on Match Game tomorrow, but she is prepping for this redonkulous road trip that you see in front of you, because starting next Thursday, Paradise Kitty will be with the Iron Maidens and the Heartland of America, going through Kentucky, Ohio, Illinois, Minnesota, Indiana, and all the majors in between. They're going to be all throughout the Heartland of America, the Midwest, if you will. But they're going to be rocking out to the Guns N' Roses tunes and the Iron Maiden tunes with their fabulous female friends, the Iron Maidens. So if you're in these areas, or go to ParadiseKittyBand.com and check out where they're going to be, get out and see them. Trying to get JJ out to see him, it's just money and travel are a muckerfuther, even in SoCal. So as soon as they get back in town, we're going to get you out to a kitty show, man, because they are just awesome.
Yeah, we would run the trailer for it, but we got copyright pinned like a muckerfuther yesterday because, they had to use the legitimate version of You Could Be Mine in their trailer. So
that was my bad for creating the trailer and putting it on there, because it was in.
You made it.
Okay. What happened was, and no, I'm not lying. No. So God bless Jenna. She put that video on Facebook Reels and Instagram story and everything, but it was in like column form. It had you saw it. It was like 80s out, like the kind of like you did with the TV snow on your old trailers that you did back in the day. Same basic principle. But I figured, okay, it's all I have to do is crop it out, and it looks like an old 80s video cassette. I just put their website and the QR code so you could go to the website. Yeah, I thought Jenna talking over it would drown out the music. It didn't. So sorry about that to everybody who's on the channel. I had to go through and change your copyright status. My bad. I just figured it
you
would
might
look
want
cool.
to double check, James, because you were broadcasted on last night too. So if you didn't already notice it,
Oh shoot. Okay. I mean,
So
my whole thing is copyright claim does shit anyway because of my theme edit, so I'm not
That's
really
fair.
too worried about that.
yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
to Noah when you watch this back, to Greg when you watch this back, I think that's everybody. Yeah, just hit mute. Say yourself a bullshit.
right.
because we ran that commercial like 6 times yesterday.
I know. I'm like, why did I get paid so much? Oh wait, because there was only a minute, but you had like 12 commercial breaks yesterday. Damn NFL. It's okay. So you know what? It's all Tony Khan's fault. We're just gonna blame Tony.
Tony Khan had 1 pick yesterday with his brace wearing ass at the NFL draft, still turning like this, like he has full mobility.
That dude just needs to have a shot collar inside that neck brace. One for his vocal cords and one for his tweeting fingers. Stop it. Anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah. Wait.
Maybe.
Who's vocal cords? Who's vocal
We're-
cords?
we were only going to talk about AEW and all those shenanigans if we get super chatted.
That's fair. Okay, well, super chat, folks, because you want to hear what I have to say about Tony this time. Anyway,
I'm more. By the way,
tomorrow.
I'm more pissed off of what they did with Swerve Strickland. But anyway, I digress.
anyway, yes.
Speaking of tomorrow,
Oh, so happy.
open
Yeah,
mic
buddy.
night, game night is back with a repeat of match game. Our current reigning and defending game show night champion Greg Cherry will be defending his title against the man he took it from,
Yes.
Emmanuel Dominguez.
Yes.
Still trying to make sure we've got the entire panel lined up for tomorrow. We've got 5 out of the 6 confirmed.
Yes.
And at
I have
least 4 of
feelings
those 6 and at least 4 of those 6 are reliable.
Yes, that's fair.
One of those
That's-
4 is Mr. Reliable.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we'll run a
I
5-man panel if we have to. Hopefully we'll get the 6th person. If we've got to run a 4-man panel, we'll do
Yes.
it.
Greg Sherry, the second winningest of different championships in the history of the WWE or social media, behind me.
But you just need to get on and win a game show night championship.
Well, if I gotta host the market for what do you want me to do?
You're not
Yeah.
hosting Jeopardy, are you?
Oh, that's valid. And both of them have said they're not good. Oh, you know what? Well, I can't play next week either though, because you already gave me my cap for questions.
Hold on, I'm gonna do the chant just in case it may age poorly. But Grand Slam Meacham.
Oh no. Well, I mean, I'm already the Triple Crown champion on the Great Cherry brand, and I haven't won here yet because again, I can't win this week because I'm hosting,
Oh,
and I
so
can't
you're
win.
already a Grand Slam champion. All right, never mind.
And I can't win next week because I had like half the question field already given to me for practice by JJ's.
That's fair.
I get to be random host guy next week instead. Anyway, carry on.
But yes, match game tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And then whatever we decide to talk about. I don't really have a whole lot of topics for open mic night tomorrow.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing a draft challenge and challenging somebody in the team to do a draft against me and see, who wanted to step up.
Okay. Curious.
I figured we'd do 25 picks, kind of do the same way the WWE's doing it. Tag teams and stables can be drafted together. Champions are protected, can do NXT call-ups, but just see who puts together the better roster of 25 people or 25 picks. Because if you draft a stable, you're getting more than one pick.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
We can talk more about it tomorrow during the day for sure.
I hear a cat.
No, you don't. You hear a baby.
well, Jeff, if you don't get to talk about it on open mic night, apparently you can muse about it on Sunday.
Yes, that'll be the last day I have absolutely clear where I don't have anything else booked on the channel, i.e. I needed content. I gotta have shit to talk about. I'm gonna be here anyway. So yeah, Sunday night. I think I'm gonna go at probably right before the NoDQ review because I know they're on Sunday this week. So I'll probably be on at either 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, or even 7:30. We'll see how I feel Sunday when I get going, but it'll be on for sure.
There you go. And then once again, Monday night, 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 Eastern, we will be doing this again, recapping night 2 of the WWE Draft, which hopefully will be a lot more eventful.
Yes.
Tuesday, Statboy Sports Bar will be opening the doors. Statboy will have full NFL draft coverage. If you missed and want to see what happened last night, go into the archives and you can check out the entire 4.5-hour coverage of night 1 of the NFL draft. I was a busy boy trying to screen cap shit and get pictures up as best as I could, and had Zach for the first half of it and Josh for the last quarter of it. Mikey went solo for about a quarter of it, but once somebody else was available to hop in, we had somebody else on the show with him, and we were doing good. We averaged about the same numbers we've been having tonight, between 70 and 80 all night. So
I'll take it, brother. I'll take it.
Thank you to everybody that tuned in again last night for the draft coverage for the NFL and everyone that tuned in tonight.
Yeah, draft week, baby.
Also on Tuesday, night 2 of NXT Spring Break-In. Looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to all the matches, but especially looking forward to Natalya versus Lola Vice in an NXT Underground match. That should be insane.
Fun fact about your girl. This week, today in history, Tyson and Harry won the tag titles on Raw. Yesterday in history, she made her debut against Cherry on SmackDown.
Yep.
It's a big week for Natty.
Yep.
It's a big week. Well, I'm telling the people that, but I know But, So, yeah, big week for Natty. Hopefully she has a big night on NXT. I know the underground thing was kind of shaky on Raw, but it looks promising on NXT, so we'll see.
I think NXT is the right place for it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Wednesday, the Greg Cherry Show, of course, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific on the Greg Cherry brand and the Jeff Meacham Network. I told Greg I'll be home Tuesday night, so barring any other teenage shenanigans, I will be there for the Greg Cherry Show this week. But again, I can never plan for sure because things. But hopefully we'll be there. But I'm sure they'll be talking about all the goings on. They'll be leading into Dynamite as they always do. And if they lead to Dynamite compared to last week, it can't get a hell of a lot worse. So we'll see.
Say that because it will.
Oh, man. Although I will say Shahid Khan showed up, so that might be interesting. That's actually really interesting.
That shit was funny. I'm not going to lie. Because he was totally off the cleanse on Dynamite. And he's on the draft just smiling all big. It's dude, can you at least try to kayfabe like the boy? Jesus.
I'm gonna be honest. What if he's actually smiling because he'll take the power back from Tony? What if they do that angle? I'd be interested in it, to be honest, because he looks more like a boss than fucking Tony.
Yeah.
The 5-year-old in the other room looks like a better boss than Tony Khan.
No, I know, but I mean an actual boss, and he actually has something intimidating about him. I think it's the mustache. It might be the mustache.
Boss Baby looks like more of a boss than Tony Khan.
That's true. That's true.
And Boss Baby has a better mentality and temperament. Anyway.
Yeah. And a better head of hair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
After the Greg Cherry Show, moving on, Friday, more Watch coverage as TNA is under siege. 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, Friday, May 3rd. And then.
No end.
And then.
No end.
May the 4th be with us. Coverage beginning at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, Saturday, May the 4th, for WWE Backlash live from France. Then immediately following, Jeff will be doing the No DQ recap because Bossman Rift will be at a wedding.
He will be, yes.
So Jeff will be doing all of that.
I will be, yes. And not only that, I'll be co-streaming on this channel. That way, we make sure we get as many super chats as possible.
There we go.
There you go. There you
And
go.
then we have a retro double feature
Yes.
discussing
Very much
the
looking.
Star Wars saga. First
Yeah,
up,
looking forward to. Sorry, go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
First up at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, the show that brought us back to the Dad's Not Always On Wrestling as we rank the Star Wars saga. Be interesting to look back on that now, see if we still agree with our picks and where we had everything. And then going right into 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, the one we did, I believe it was last year.
Yep.
Top 10 characters from a galaxy far, far away. Just basically ranking our favorite characters from the saga.
Yeah, it was it was fun to bring Dad's back, and unfortunately I have to edit a little bit the first one because they kind of dinged me on the crawl, but it is what it is. I had a beautiful crawl put together for Dad's that when we came back, so I thought that was fun. I may show it just with a mute on just because it was that damn good looking. And then luckily that show was just under an hour, and then the other show was just under 2 hours, so it takes us right into. There it is.
Star Wars trivia in the style of Jeopardy with your host, Renegade Trebek.
Renegade Trebek, yeah.
Yep, it'll be my first time stepping up to do the hosting duties because I have written all the questions. I just have to write my final category.
Right on. So since I can't host because you're hosting, since I can't compete because I know the questions, I think I'm going to be. I think I'm going to be Daryl Hammond as Sean Connery. And just take it back a million times.
Oh no! Oh, no. Wait,
I'll take the rapist for 200.
Oh Jesus Christ, Jeff! Oh,
That's
God.
therapist.
But yes, Star Wars trivia to wrap up May the 4th, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, open mic night. The winner of Emmanuel versus Greg will get automatic entry, and then we will need 2 more contestants. Josh has already told me that he is going to super chat to be a contestant.
He wants in on that, man.
So we just need 1 more. So Emmanuel and Greg, you got to be careful because Josh is coming for the crown.
I still think we should try to get Bruce to throw a ringer at him and watch them shit their pants.
Oh man, yeah, right.
Bruce would be, yeah, do it. There you go, Matthew.
Well, Emmanuel, you've got a little over a week. Watch the movies.
Yes.
Because with the exception, I'm going to give this out, and I'll give it tomorrow on Match Game 2. With the exception of 1 category, which is all about The Mandalorian. It's actually called The Mandalorian. Everything else comes from the 11 movies that have been released. The 9 movies in the Skywalker saga, Rogue One. I don't really think I've touched Solo, but
thank you for that.
Yeah, to be honest.
But those 10 movies have questions concerning them.
You say you need 1 more category?
I already know what it's going to be. I just need to write it.
Okay. I was going to say we can talk off air about that 1 category that may help Manuel, but we'll talk off air.
You have 8 days from tonight.
Valid.
To watch 10 movies. And you know, on May the 4th, TBS or TNT or USA or one of those fucking channels is going to be doing a goddamn marathon. And all of them can be found on Disney Plus.
Mhm.
Yep.
So you got
I know. I'm
time
binging
to
them right
watch
now.
Yep. Take
no
notes.
excuses.
And you also have
And hell,
YouTube videos.
and hell, if you binge them now, they'll be fresh in your mind come next Saturday.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. And there's YouTube videos if you don't understand every little thing. They can
That's right.
explain it for you.
But then the YouTube videos go longer than the movies.
Sometimes
Yeah,
they do, yes. And then stepping out of a galaxy far, far away and stepping into Hawthorne, California.
Yes.
Friday, May 10th, the dads will be back to do the top 10 Beach Boys songs. Because the next day, Saturday, May 11th, will be the 60th anniversary of their first #1 hit, I Get Around.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a fun one to go back into the archives and see what Jeff and I come up with.
Mhm.
Yeah. Those boys were saying yeah on their songs before LA Knight was even saying it on TV. So there you go.
True that.
And that song.
Mhm. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find me on the YouTubes at youtube.com/user/jhebertside95, or you can follow me on Twitter at jhebertside95, or on Facebook at James Heban Hebert. I do really dumb things on the internet. You guys can check out the J Hebert side of things, episode 18. This is going to be a crazy episode because it's just basically one of those hodgepodge ones. I covered the Swerve not being prominently featured on Dynamite, and I don't care if he's showing up on Collision. Stupid that they ever had him on a meaningless match. That's not how you show your first champion in his first appearance after winning the goddamn title, Tony. God damn it. So I talk about that, and I also have, JJ. I have JJ's video playing to kind of go over my thoughts. So a little corporate synergy, and that way you can check out his video after you check out my video. So there you go. There. I also talk about UFC 300 and that crazy goddamn knockout. I mean, holy hell. Definitely go check it out if you haven't already. And then I also cover the TikTok ban that could be impending in the US and the implications of that, which I don't think it's great that TikTok is getting banned for the Americans of the world just because, freedom and all that, even though I think TikTok is just bad, but we should have that freedom to download that toxic waste. So there you go. That's my thoughts on that. But yeah, if you want to hear more in depth of that, I'll be talking about it there. And also, WWE 2K Games banning modifications on community creations. That's been a controversy thing. I believe the biggest creator on there that was doing a lot of modding tools, and I think he uploaded my faction stuff on community creation, somehow bypassed that. He got the ban hammer permanent, so all of his content got wiped. And 2K was like, nah, you can't do that. And the community were kind of like, okay, so you ban this, and then what about what else are you gonna ban? And now they just figured out, apparently there's like a whole list of shit. So we cover it on there. Go check it out if you haven't already. There may be a follow-up to it on the next J Hebert side of things, but the initial story being covered on a J Hebert side. So go check out that episode. It's gonna be a big one this week. So yeah, there you go.
Sounds good.
Oh, and that will be Saturday, by the way, 12 o'clock p.m. EST. That episode of the J Hebert side.
Okay, cool.
So there you go.
Well, that's going to just about wrap it up for this so brief night one recap of the SmackDown draft. For as lackluster as it was, I figured it would be a lot quicker, but going almost 2 hours here. But we want to make sure and take a moment to thank everybody for joining us and tuning in. We still have almost 80 viewers. We greatly appreciate all that. The love and support.
Yes. See you tomorrow for Match Game. I love it, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
So we hope you guys will come back tomorrow for that. Again, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern for Match Game, and see what kind of stupidity and shenanigans we get into. And what kind of answers we come up with. Hopefully, questions have been written out for.
Oh yeah.
matches.
Oh no.
I'm glad to hear that, because when I messaged Jeff today, there was no panel in place. So I'm glad that at least the questions have already been done.
That's
So that way he doesn't have to try to spend the next 24 hours coming up with questions.
No. It's one of those. I wasn't sure about the panel situation just because everybody's seemingly dropping off a lot. I figure if I ask them the day before, then it's like, okay, well, I know they're clear because they answered me the day before. Just trying to outthink the dumb fuckery sometimes works. Sometimes.
That's true. Sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes.
It's good to be the meat. Sometimes.
Well, thank you for popping in here towards the end, boss man. Appreciate it. Thank you, James, for being here for the whole show and riding with me. Thank you to all you guys that are still watching. For the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham, for the He-Man James Hebert, I am the Renegade of Wrestling JJ Williams, and we will see you guys tomorrow for Open Mic Night and Match Game.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
That's all, folks.